So you're streaming, right?
Started. Yeah.
Right.
Let me double check. Online. Cool. Go.
Good to go?
We're gone.
Okay, so hello everyone that's tuning in. Welcome back to the Oil Drop Podcast. As per usual, my name is James. With me today is Adam and Arun. Today is Sunday, October the 15th, 2017. The 2017-2018 NHL season is underway, and after 4 games, the Oilers are 1-3. They won their first game against Calgary and have reeled off 3 consecutive losses against Winnipeg, then Vancouver, then Ottawa. Is it time to hit the panic button yet, would you say, or give it some more time? What do you think, Adam?
I mean, realistically, after 10 years of absolute garbage, this isn't anything that's really daunting. There's 4 games. It is worrying the trend we've seen over the last 3 games about how poorly they've played. That needs to change fast. However, it is not time to panic yet. We're gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until we get game 15 to really see where we're at.
Yeah, for me personally, with this losing streak, it's just awfully reminiscent of us during what I'd like to call the Dark Ages, where it seems as though everything that's going bad is going bad because the team's not clicking well. A few random things are out of place. Defensive miscue leads to a goal against. And even though we're able to keep the pressure up, none of the pressure is effective pressure, and it doesn't result in anything positive. That being said,
Yeah,
I'm very confident. Sorry?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm fairly confident that we can turn this around and we can be a very effective NHL team. However, I do believe it's going to be a challenging prospect to put it all together. Especially when you look at especially when you look at Sekera's out and Draisaitl is a question mark now. Sorry, James.
I was kind of thinking the same thing what Adam had said. I mean, it is only 4 games, but we just suffered through a decade of crap, and it's kind of... I have no confidence with the team still, and that sucks. I mean, we were second round of the playoffs last year. We were a good team, obviously, but I still I wasn't confident in the team. Like, I felt like everything could go to shit at any time.
Yeah.
And it did in one of the games against Anaheim. That being said, yeah, it's still not the be-all, end-all. What we've traditionally done here in years past is we wait until about the 20-game mark of the season, and then we do a review of what we've seen so far. And generally speaking, that gives us a pretty good idea of where the team's at. And then we do the halfway review and then the full season review. So I'm going to wait till the quarter season review because I think we'll really know what the team is going to be at that point. But until then, I'm just going to try and ease off a little bit.
I think the worrying thing for me so far is our 2 best players last year were Talbot and McDavid, and they both have been, aside from the first game, they've been
poor,
mediocre at best.
Yeah.
The and saying about McDavid, it's again Talbot. Like, yeah, the defense has not really given any help, which I think we'll talk about in a little bit here. The defense has been garbage, to say the least. But when you're seeing some of the shots that are going on Talbot right now and seeing some of the plays McDavid is not making that he normally does, it's a little worrying. It is. I'm going to hold off because we've been...
I mean, in one part with this run right now, it is something that we sort of mentioned would be a problem to start the season. And that's another reason for the concern because, the problem that we mentioned is that last year we didn't have any major injuries outside of guys that essentially were useless, like Pouliot. And this year we're starting off with a major injury to Sekera, and now we're possibly facing a Draisaitl losing a questionable number of games. A concussion like his, from the looks of it, it's a concussion as well as an eye problem from a hit by Trouba in the Winnipeg game. He was out in the Senators game. It's a question mark for how long he'll be out, but he is out for sure for the next little while. It could be anywhere from 2, 3 to 20, 30, 40 games. To give you an example, Aaron
knows?
Ekblad last season was out, oh geez, how long was he out?
30, 40 games.
34 games, yeah. And you see the Panthers' performance when they're losing, their best players. And, obviously, if you're missing your best players, you're not going to play well. That's a given. But it still doesn't bode well when, we're looking at the prospect of losing our best players this season as opposed to no one significant last season. So then the concern then is compounding because rather than going like, who can we bring, who's going to be here to fix this problem, who's coming back to fix this problem, we're more concerned about, who's going to get injured next and make this problem worse. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you look at our biggest, I think it's pretty agreeable right now that the two positions we're currently lacking on, defenseman with Sekera being out, and right wing. Now I'll get to right wing in a minute, but do you guys think that maybe looking back, Chiarelli should have done a bit more to compensate for the fact that we're out one of our top 4 defensemen for half the season? Is this maybe something Chiarelli should have addressed instead of waiting on to see how it would go?
I mean, Chiarelli literally traded away our even if he fell down a little bit on our depth chart, he was our first line right winger, and we traded him away for a downgrade, basically essentially a third line center. At least that's how we're playing him for the time being. That was a bad trade, and everyone saw that as a bad trade. But what made it worse is that the next trade that the Islanders made was with Calgary to send over Hamonic for what was it, a first and a second?
I think so.
A couple of picks. It was a price we could have afforded.
We could have completely afforded. Even Eberle in a pick I would have made. Right?
Yeah.
That's a failure on his part. 100%. Because we've made our right wing worse. We've addressed an issue that wasn't really an issue. And we never addressed the fact that we're out a top 4 defenseman until Sekera comes back. So
then, at this point, do we assume that there's a move coming in the next couple of weeks to fix that if this continues to be an issue? And if so, James, is it Nuge just getting moved?
No, I don't see something that big.
If Nuge continues playing the way that he's playing right now, I don't see how you can move him. The Oilers are still bargaining from a position of weakness. I mean, teams see the impending or the incoming cap crunch that the Oilers are going to be in. You can't make a panic move, but I would say this is Nuge's last season with the Oilers one way or another.
Likely, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we disagree on that, but I think the biggest issue right now with Nuge is, do you sell him high and try to get a good defenseman in return so that they can bolster the lineup right away, or do you wait until the trade deadline, potentially sell him wherever he's at, and then go from there?
I don't see a realistic trade happening right now where we send away Nugent Hopkins and we get a serviceable, good top 4 defenseman. The only trades that I see possibly happening is a guy like Strome. I'm not talking forward, of course. I'm talking defenseman, who is basically a player that has been having a few bad seasons. Or something along those lines, because Nugent Hopkins, even if he's playing well and he's been I don't think any of you guys will disagree, our best player in these past 4 games, he still is paid $6 million until something like 2020, or 2018, I think. No, 2020, yeah. And, there's a cap crunch coming. And all the other organizations know that, if you're trading with Edmonton, you can police them when it comes to defensemen.
How's Eberle doing anyway?
I think he put up 2 points so far. He's not been doing great, but no player that goes into a new organization ever does great in their first couple of games. Being the only exception in the last little while.
Yeah, 3 points in 5 games.
3 points.
All assists.
All assists.
All assists, so no goals. Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. the thing is now, if you trade Nuge, Leon's out. So what does that make your second line center? Like, it has to be Leon when he comes back. You cannot keep them together going forward now. Like, you can't have Ryan Strome as your second line center. No way.
No. On that topic, did we want to quickly talk about your guys' impressions on Strome in the first 4 games? Now, mind you, I do want to state that, you know, Strome is a new player playing in a new system. He followed up a relatively good season in his second or first year in the NHL with a bad season before getting traded. So he's not coming into everything relatively hot. But what are your guys' impressions?
I'm not mad at him. I haven't noticed him. That's my impressions. I haven't noticed him when he's on the ice. He's not making any super glaring mistakes, but he's not really making anything happen either. I mean, after the games, I looked down the stats of the games. I'm like, oh yeah, Ryan Strome is an Oiler now. Yeah. Didn't notice him for 60 minutes. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat with. It's almost like, to me, he feels like he's playing like a rookie, if that makes sense, in the sense that he's not making any mistakes, but he's not really doing anything productive.
Yeah.
Adam, you lagged out on us. So.
Terribly, I guess it's like kind of like a rookie defenseman. It's like last year, Benning had a game where we didn't notice him. It's like, yeah, you know what? He didn't impact negatively or positively, but he was there and he played. And it's like, sure, but that's the problem, though. We didn't acquire him just to be there. We acquired him to do stuff.
He's 24 years old. He's the same age as
me.
He's a year younger than Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. And Ryan Nugent-Hopkins...
same age as Nuge.
Is he same age as Nuge? Nuge is 92, isn't he?
Nuge is 93.
Nuge is 93. They were both drafted in 2011. Nuge first overall, and Strome was 5th overall.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that itself completes that comparison, doesn't it?
It's just, it's not... He needs to do something, especially with Draisaitl out. We can't have Yamamoto being the best player on the ice. And he's like...
He hasn't really been either.
He was last night.
He was last night, absolutely. But I think everyone was bad last night, so it's more, you know, is it good in a really shitty situation, or is it like the Eberle thing, right? Where he would, in our eyes, show up in against the bad teams and disappear against the good teams.
I mean, at least, I mean, in positives out of yesterday is Yamamoto looks like he'll be a good NHL player. On a bad end, when your player that's only up for 9 games is the best player on the ice, that's not a good thing. In the slightest.
Okay, so back on track here a little bit. So through the first 4 games here, Talbot's goals against average is 3.42. Save percentage is 0.896. Would you guys keep giving him starts, or maybe let Brossoit take the reins for a little bit?
It's still got to be... I don't know. Talbot's the kind of guy that's really driven. He's the kind of guy that, you know, when you don't give him the starts, he'll take it personally kind of guy. And, you know, some of the goals, he should have, but other ones, it's not his fault for them going in. At the end of the day, though, his numbers aren't great. And while, you know, Brossoit isn't king of the universe when it comes to being a good defenseman, I think it's time to give him a few starts.
I'd say no. I mean, if we look at Talbot, he's always had a streak of a few games a season where he plays terrible, and then just last year when he played terrible, it was often masked by the offense. This year he's playing terrible. It's being exposed because our defense is so bad and our offense isn't contributing either. So Talbot's going to have a few bad games. Brossoit is 23, I think. He turns 24 this year. Maybe he's 24, but he is, and Talbot is the starter for a reason. You don't throw your starter under the bus because he's had a couple of bad games, especially when the team's had a couple of bad games. If it was Talbot letting in really shitty goals and the team is trying to rally around him, then yeah, maybe you give him a night off, get his head back.
All right, we're losing
Talbot,
you there.
Talbot's the guy that thrives on consistent play. He played 72 games last year.
something
71?
ridiculous like that.
Yeah,
So he
71,
played
71 games.
772 games. He thrives on a lot of starts. When you have one game in 4 days and another 3-day break between the next one, he's not going to play well. That's just going to be the reality of Talbot's schedule. Now, if we look from here on out, we got, Carolina, Chicago, and Philadelphia, 3 games in 5 days. Got another 2-day break, then Pittsburgh, then 1 day, then Dallas, then 1 day, then Washington. I mean, it might be that Brossoit gets one of those starts.
Sorry.
Yeah, it might be that Brossoit gets one of those starts because we don't have any back-to-backs until mid-November, November 21st and 22nd. So I have to imagine that Brossoit will be getting at least one or 2 starts in there.
Man, I really don't want to go back to a time where we're looking at, end of November as like, oh, I guess we're eliminated from the playoffs again.
Yeah.
I don't want that again.
I don't think it won't come to that.
I guess one point that is tough. Actually, James, I'll let you talk first before introducing this one.
Just with Talbot, I think you got to go with him as well. Brossoit, he hasn't really demonstrated that he's really ready to put up a legitimate challenge to Talbot anyway. Talbot, he is a workhorse. I think that he, like you guys already said, he thrives off of a lot of playing time, and given the opportunity to correct his play, like I believe he will turn it around. And some of the goals have been absolute dog shit. Like some of them last night against Ottawa were brutal, but overall, like there's been at least a couple, like where it's like he had no chance. There's nothing that he could have done there. So
yeah, it's a defensive collapse, a mistake, or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, sorry, I did want to bring up one point, and this is something that was discussed in the Oilers subreddit. Yamamoto had a really good game last game. We're also looking like, Draisaitl might be out for a longer time than we initially anticipated. Do we burn his first year of his ELC? Right? Is that what it's called? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or do we, send him down? Because at this point, when we're looking at it past... oh, Jesus. We could put Strome on the first line or something, but where we're looking at it, the next best forward that we have available that we can call up is Puljujarvi, and is his development more important, or is Yamamoto's development more important?
You're probably looking at calling. I would send him down after the 9 games, full stop. If we do send him down, I'm not really sure who you call up to replace him. I don't think I would call up Puljujarvi to replace him. Right wing down there in Bakersfield right now, like, geez, I don't even know. Patrick Russell. Okay.
I think it's an AHL only deal.
It's an AHL only deal. Please, no Patrick Russell.
What about Ty Ratty?
He could. He just never showed anything for the NHL level. He's one of those players that's like, he's too skilled for the bottom 6, but not physical or good enough in the other aspects of his game for the. Or sorry, opposite. For the top 6.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
There's Brad Malone down there. We just called him up a couple hours ago, or an hour ago.
Oh,
Brad Malone?
So he'll probably be playing.
Yeah, he's the one.
No.
He's really the only other option, unless you wanted to call up friggin' Hamilton.
God damn.
Our right wing is really
seriously
bad.
speaking, how does this happen? How do you go into a goddamn season without addressing the fact that you have lost your first line winger, and you're banking on
what
your
was supposed
right
to happen.
Winger becoming a
what
center.
Was supposed to happen, I think, was Strome replacing Eberle on the top line on the right wing, Draisaitl taking over the 2C, and that was supposed to be it.
Yeah,
that's a huge risk in any way that you look at it.
Massive risk, but I mean, you have to take risk
any way you look at it. I don't know.
You have to take risk though.
Yeah. Okay. So we've sort of touched on the fact that our offense isn't clicking right now. Chemistries are off. Draisaitl and McDavid were the only shining light in terms of chemistry between players. Individually, Nugent Hopkins has looked better. But I guess among defensemen, what are your thoughts? Like, what's going wrong? There's a lot of turnovers in the neutral ice, a lot of missed passes, and what do you think is happening in terms of our defense looking as bad as it is? Or is it just that, like last year, we're just allowing a lot of shots, and this time, it's going in?
I think it's a bit of both. If you look at it, I mean, Larson and Clefbaum, who are playing okay. They're not playing as well as they were last year, but they're not playing as terrible as they could be. But the second pairing currently is the weakest of the three with the matchups they're getting. Mm-hmm. So they're getting tougher matchups, and they're playing like crap. Chris Russell has been anchored. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Chris Russell has been being anchored down by Benning so far. He hasn't been good, but Benning's been so bad that he's actually playing worse than he normally does. Chris Russell is.
I mean, that's not a pairing in my mind that would ever have chemistry. Benning is the kind of guy that, he needs a reliable defenseman with him, but honestly, he needs a guy that's good at transition that's with him. Sort of the reason why Nurse and Benning worked so well, I mean, it didn't work that great. They were our worst defensive pairing. Whenever they were out on the ice in the playoffs, especially last season, they were completely exposed, let's be honest here. But one of the reasons that they worked is that Nurse has very good skating, and he's not afraid to carry the puck up. So it gives Benning a little bit of an out in terms of transitioning into offense. And now, with Russell, it's our worst defenseman in terms of transition. Not just, visually, but also statistically. And one of the reasons why the advanced statistics community isn't too happy, with us giving Russell 4 for 4 years. So I don't know. This is starting to show that. But I do agree with you, Adam. At the end of the day, it's Benning is the bigger issue in that pairing than Russell is. Sorry, James. Did I lag out or James lag out?
I think James lagged out.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm here.
Oh, okay. There we go. Not rest in peace then.
Okay, where are we? I died for a second.
We're just talking about the fact that Russell Benning pairing is looking really bad. Our defense is collapsing too much, and perhaps Benning's not cut out yet for a top 4 defensive position.
Didn't I missed a bunch.
Did you miss? I
thought I missed a bunch.
Okay.
No, I got you. I don't know. Like, Russell's been fine. I don't know. He stood out in a good way in the first game. I think he was really good in the first game against Calgary, but since then I haven't really noticed him one way or the other. But maybe I'm not watching closely enough. But
I think we need to start watching closer. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Benning has been pretty bad. Yeah, like you said, though. I mean, and then Adam kind of mentioned this before. Sekera is going to be out for like 30, 35 games or something like that. And then even after he comes back, he won't be 100%. He probably won't be 100% for this entire season. Mm-hmm. So what do? I mean, Nurse is not a top 4 defenseman. I don't know if he's going to get there. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. I'm glad it's not up to me.
I think the only real solution internally right now is for Nurse to step up his play and become a top 4 defenseman or like a second pairing defenseman. But whether or not that can happen with, like, his skating is obviously phenomenal. He's had a great season so far. In terms
his positives sort of just end there.
That's kind of the issue, right? He still his decision making in the offensive end still needs to improve.
Decision making is so bad. It drives me nuts, man.
Just panics. It seems like either he goes, well, I'm too close to him, and I need a backup, and his skating is better than I think he doesn't know how good his backward skating is because he just freezes, goes for the hit, misses the puck, and then is no man's land.
Or the other one where, he has the forechecker on him. He's going, I need to get rid of this peck right now, and then turns it over.
Yeah,
totally. Like, he's just not... The intelligence is not there. You know? Like, it's almost like... it's like the defensive version of Yakupov, almost. Like, the tools are there, but just not a smart player.
There's something not clicking yet. I think if that clicks in a place, if he can watch enough film and train himself to take a second. I know the NHL game is ridiculously fast. It's stupid fast. But if he takes just like even a half second to evaluate the situation more effectively, even whether off the ice, so he's prepared on the ice, he could be a stellar defenseman. It's just that maturation, the process of maturation within the last 6 months has not happened, and it needs to happen within the next couple of weeks for us to be okay. It's just terrifying.
I'll be honest in terms of what I think is happening, and perhaps the only exception behind this is the Penguins and not the Panthers, the Predators. But typically speaking, this has been one of the shortest off seasons, right?
For Edmonton?
Yes.
Not only for us, but in terms of NHL in general. I do believe this has been one of the shortest off seasons.
If you count the World Cup as last year, then yes.
Yeah. If you don't count the World... Oh, right. Yeah. I think because of the fact that they're... obviously, a whole bunch of new players, but I think what's going on right now is simply... they're coming into it and going, I'm not tired, I'm not fatigued, and then realizing, there still is some fatigue there. So perhaps what's just happening is that we're getting an Oilers team that just isn't used to being tired.
I don't think at the start of the season that's really an excuse, though. To give you an example of other teams that have started cold, the Ducks are one. Who are some... Ducks have way more injuries, more important injuries.
Way more injuries, yeah.
Like they are absolutely decimated with injuries on the back end right now.
Is it back end injuries mostly?
Lindholm, Vatanen, and they lost Theodore.
Yeah. There's also the Rangers. The Blue Jackets have a winning record. Actually, no, they look great. Never mind, I take it back on Blue Jackets. Penguins have allowed the most even strength goals per game as well as in general. The Sharks have looked terrible. The Wild have looked And
the Wild are decimated by injuries too.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's also true.
That's the primary issue right now with
no. And then on the flip side, the teams like the Avs, the Golden Knights, the Devils have started extremely hot. So as much as you can say that, that's not acceptable, I think it's also on one part you have to go, it's reality. Right? It's just gradually they'll get out of this funk.
Yeah, early season always has these weird trends.
Yeah.
There's someone who has a hot start, or a team is bad or unexpectedly good, like the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean,
they're not good. They lost Marc-Andre Fleury. Marc-Andre Fleury's on injured reserve. And another player's on injured reserve now. They're done.
I don't even know who their backup is.
It's Malcolm Subban. It used to be Calvin Pickard, and then they waived him for some reason while picking up Subban.
They traded him to Toronto. That's right.
They waived him and then traded him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it would have been nice to have a backup like that, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Or you can have a guy who's played one NHL game and one guy who's played 0 NHL games. That seems like a good option.
Malcolm Subban. Well, I guess it's sink or swim for him.
Yeah.
Subban and legacy.
And he's starting against Boston. Oh, this is just... Oof.
That's good.
Yeah. Oh, Marchessault. That's the other player that's on the injured reserve.
What he said.
Sorry, I missed
anyway.
It's my bad.
Yeah.
All right.
It's early season. No need to press the red panic button yet. But the concerning thing is if you look at a lot of teams that started slow, they either had much deeper runs than we did in the playoffs, or they lost big key contributors, or they have lots of injuries.
Yeah.
And we have one injured player in Draisaitl who's significant. We're missing Sekera, that's right. But again, the first 3 games we played terribly even with Draisaitl. And this game was, against Ottawa, was even worse. But to their credit, a lot of people are freaking out that we lost to Ottawa. Ottawa is a damn good team. Like, a lot of people forget how good Ottawa was last year. Even if they're short Carlson, they were still a very good team. Are a very good team.
Okay, here's the thing, though, Adam. It was Ottawa, and they're a good team, but it's a second game for them on a back-to-back. They're playing their backup. This is a team that's without their number one defenseman and arguably one of the top 3 best players in the league. And
I'm not saying
not only do they lose, they get blown out in their loss.
I'm not saying we should have got destroyed.
Like, this is the kind of thing that, like, you look back at last season and we don't go like, oh, that's okay. We go like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's okay that we lost Ottawa 7-0. I'm saying that it's not surprising that we lost Ottawa. A lot of people were saying, oh, we should beat them handily. You don't have Carlson. They still have a good... Yes, their defense is a lot worse without Carlson. Mike Condon carried that team for a long time when Craig Anderson was out last year.
He did, yeah.
Mike Condon is not a bad goaltender.
Yeah.
That team... Mike Hoffman is a ridiculously good forward. Mark Stone has been solid. Thomas Chabot has been the Carlson in mini Carlson as of lately. Like, he's been absurdly good. It's not utterly surprising we lost Ottawa, but losing 7-0 is unacceptable.
Yeah, no. I guess at this point we're talking around in circles. Do we want to go around to the NHL topics?
Yeah, let's transition to the NHL league-wide topics. First off that I had listed there was Ovechkin. He has 9 goals in 6 games to start off the season. So there's already some whispers of 50 goals in 38 games. And longer term, career-wise, what they're starting to look at now is the possibility of him breaking Gretzky's goal-scoring record. Because he's already at 500-something.
I'll look at it.
I can't remember. But anyway... Would you guys want him to break Gretzky's records or no?
I'd say yes. I mean, more than I'm a fan of hockey than like, will I always want Gretzky to hold those records? Yeah, because he's an Oiler and I love Gretzky, and Gretzky's the greatest of all time. But I think Obi breaking that record would go a long way to show how good Obi is. Because Obi seems to be underrated a lot of times. I know that's going to sound stupid, but it's kind of, and the other side of it is history is fun to watch. So how many people can say, like, from 20 years from now we could say, oh yeah, we got to watch from Obi's first season until he broke the NHL goal scoring record. Mm-hmm. Now, do I think he'll get 50 and 38? No, he's got 7 goals in the first 2 games and 2 goals in the last 4. He's not gonna get, his pace has dropped off significantly. He's not gonna get that. Yeah. Will he get 50 and 50? Maybe. If he can keep scoring at a 1 goal per every 2 games, he'll be close. He won't get it. Mm-hmm. But knowing Obi, he'll be, he'll come close. But, there's so many factors into him beating Gretzky's record that I think it'd be really cool to see. A little disappointed that Gretzky's record got broken, but it'd be fun to see. And I think Ovechkin, if anyone's going to break it, it's going to be Obi.
See, here's where the issue comes up. Mario Lemieux is 3rd in terms of goals scored per game, with a minimum of 200 goals scored. And in terms of the all-time goal record, he comes in at 10th with 690. A big part of the total goals scored record, and even the top 5 kind of categories, is the longevity in your game and an ability to play well beyond the years that you've played in. To give you an example, Gordie Howe is one of the leaders in terms of games played ever as an NHL player. Jaromir Jagr is 3rd, and you have Brett Hull as 4th. So, like, a big part of it is just the fact that he has to play for a really long time, because right now he's 26th, and he's about 40 goals off from
he's not 26.
26th in goals scored.
26th. Gotcha. I was like, he's definitely not in his 20s.
No. He's 30 now. He's 31 now.
Yeah, he turned 32 in September.
Did he turn 32?
Is he 32?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep, he is.
Wow.
Yeah. He will likely finish in the top 20. I feel is a guarantee, but I don't know if he'll hit like the 700 goal mark.
Well, I think he'll do 700. I mean, he's got probably
700 will squarely put him as like top 5, which is where he in the modern era. Honestly, he's the best goal scorer. Yeah. But it's unfortunate that we have an era, where they scored 4 goals every game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he could get 700. I mean, he's at 567 right now. He's probably got 4 good seasons left, I would say. And then
567, you said?
He's at 567 right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that puts him squarely at 22nd.
I could see him finishing around 715, 720 goals if he played 5 or 6 seasons.
That puts him solidly at 3rd. No, 4th.
Yeah, a lot of it's going to depend on his longevity. I mean, I don't think he relies on his shot. His shot is what has got him so many of those goals. Like, he's a really good skater, but he's not Pavel Bure. He doesn't rely on the blistering speed. As long as he keeps his shot like Brett Hull did, I mean, he'll score a ton of goals.
Yeah.
The other side of it too, though, is how long the Capitals or whatever team he'll be playing for stays decent. Because if you don't have people that can feed you the puck,
as long as he's got Backstrom
or Kuznetsov, yeah.
I mean, one thing that's pretty much guaranteed to likely happen is a power play goals record that Gretzky doesn't have that record, but he's 15th, so he'll likely beat Gretzky there because he's just like 10 goals off.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's just a weird stat, but yeah.
Well, I am. I'm a Canadian nationalist, so I don't want Ovechkin to break the records. That's how I feel about that.
I don't think Ovechkin will break the record, is my opinion. Really quickly, the Colorado Yakupovs are off to a very good start. I think they're 4-2. Unless someone, or 4-1, if someone wants to correct me.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yakupov is actually leading the way. If he's not the top scoring guy or number 2, he does have, I think, like 5 points in the 6 games.
He's got 5 points in 6 games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's has he finally turned his career around? What are your guys' thoughts, James?
I hope he's turned it around. Like, I have no ill will towards Yakupov. While he was here, I was his biggest cheerleader. I hope he has a long career. Some 30-goal seasons will be nice. I hope that Dallas Eakins never works in the NHL again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope the guy has all the success in the world. He seems like a great kid and a nice guy, and he loves the game, and I think when Yakupov is having fun and laughing and smiling when he plays, it's fun to watch. It's fun to see him have success. I'm sad he couldn't do it here because I love the guy and I love him as a player, but I'm just happy he's able to find. He seems to have found his niche somewhere, and hopefully he keeps going the way he is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm looking at his Hockey DB page right now. I'm trying to look at his numbers, and I can't because I keep looking at his smiling face, and I can't help but snickering a little. Yeah,
he's one of the few players that actually smiles in his pictures.
Yeah, I know, and he's a genuine guy that really shows his emotions. And perhaps one of the big problems that he ran into is that when he gets cold, he's really cold. Like, he started off with the Blues sort of hot. He scored 2 in 2 games, but then he fell off a cliff and then ended up getting scratched a bunch.
Ken Hitchcock also isn't the best player for young players.
No, not only young players, but running a system where Yakupov can get more power play time, and instead of playing to the strengths of your player, play more for the system. But then again, Pietrangelo, right? Oh no, but he's not coaching that team. Never mind. I don't know. I think Yakupov definitely can turn around, but I don't know how likely it is when you look at the number of seasons where he starts relatively hot, because for consistency in the NHL is the biggest thing, and his biggest problem is consistency.
The only thing I'm worried about is that Avalanche team is going to fall off the cliff at some point. They're not going to be the Columbus Blue Jackets from last year.
All they need is groin problem Varlamov to get groin problems again.
Yeah. They're going to have issues. The matter of is when and how many.
And how bad.
I'd love it if they didn't, because the Avs were my second team for the longest time, and they still kind of are. And I have a soft spot for Yakupov, and I'd love for them to prove all the haters wrong, including myself.
Mm-hmm.
But realistically, maybe they'll be good for a month.
Look at this lineup, man. Matt Duchene, Nail Yakupov, Tyson Barrie, Mikko Rantanen, Gabriel Landeskog, Nathan McKinnon. Like, how is this team not scoring 10 goals a game? That's
because
crazy.
their defensive core,
their defense is where everything falls apart. Yeah.
Oh,
and you added the
so
fact that
frustrating.
last season they were out their number one defenseman, and their number two defenseman basically had to take all defensive responsibilities.
Then they also
while
buy
being
out
an offensive
Oshman, who was
defenseman.
their highest paid defenseman last year, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. And you add in the fact that Varlamov was injured for most of the season. Everyone had cold seasons, and it just sort of explains why things went the way they did.
Right.
Sorry. I did have one more point to talk about beyond our little talking points here, because obviously Jagr being signed by Calgary is a big deal. But what are your guys' thoughts on Montreal's absolutely putrid start? Montreal's another team that hasn't looked great. I'll bring up NHL standings. That's the best way for me to make the understanding. But they had the exact same record we do with... actually, no, not exact same record. They have 1 win, 3 losses, 1 loss in overtime. So the biggest stat for me that stands out for them is the fact that with 5 games played, their goals for is 8. And their goals against is pretty much league average at 17, if not lower than league average.
Aren't they burying Galchenyuk again?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like
Galchenyuk is
now.
a flu. He's seeing a doctor right now. He had to go to the doctor for the flu. That's how bad it is right
okay.
now.
Well, I was gonna say, I swear he's getting buried again, and he started with Drouin, or he was supposed to, and that hasn't happened. So
Yeah, Drouin's been all right for them, but pretty much everyone else has been terrible. Patches has been invisible. Galchenyuk did look really bad in the first few games. Like, he was like a terrible bad. And, him being sick would probably be a solid explanation. But Carey Price has also looked very, very average, which is a concern.
that's as concerning as it is for Talbot, like Austin Talbot.
Yeah, I think one of the most exposing factors in this is... I said this in a previous cast. I'm a huge proponent for this, but offense isn't just the responsibility for the 12 forwards that are on the ice. There's 6 other players that are responsible for the offense. The goaltender would be responsible for the offense too, if it weren't for the fact that he can't literally skate up past half center ice, right? So the big issue here is outside of Matt, or is it Meat? I don't know how to pronounce whoever's winning their power play right now. Their defending is sorely missing Markov.
Yeah, Shea Weber's been...
What it basically comes down to. It's just Shea Weber has to carry all the defense and all the offense.
Because they don't have Beaulieu anymore.
They don't have Beaulieu.
They traded their prospect, their top prospect, who I can't remember who it was.
Mikhail Sergachev.
Sergachev, yeah.
Sergachev, yep. Sergachev is traded. The Beaulieu's gone. Markov's gone. Like, their defensive core...
Subban was the one that was traded.
Shea Weber's their defense.
You know who they still have? Davidson.
They do have Brandon Davidson. Brandon Davidson's playing like second pairing right now.
Yeah, isn't that sick?
I hope. You know what? I'm still mad. I'm still mad we had to get rid of Petrie and Davidson.
Yeah,
because now they're the second pairing now.
Yep.
Yep.
Fuck.
That could have been our second pairing. Man.
Yeah.
Petrie still chaps my ass.
So one other point to add in all of this controversy is Mark Streit was the guy that they signed in this season to be the replacement for Markov. He was supposed to be their offensive power play specialist, who immediately got taken over by a rookie and has not looked good. And now has now been placed on waivers, sent down, not placed on waivers to terminate contract. Thoughts? And I mean, right now, in terms of a Canadian setting, I'll be completely honest, everything that the Oilers are doing is flying under the radar because of how bad the Montreal Canadiens are doing.
And how good Toronto's getting.
Yeah. And how good Toronto's getting, yeah. Toronto's winning all these like stupid games. It's weird.
I'm a little annoyed because the Leafs fans are starting to get incorrigible again.
Yeah,
they're so fun to watch, though.
One of them.
All right, this guy's a Leafs fan.
Fun. That's the problem.
He's a Leafs fan.
I watched a game because they were on the other day in a golf shop, and I'm like, shit, like they're like the Oilers last year. They're not. You're not watching a team that's accidentally winning games. They are having good games and they're playing well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's concerning because I don't want any more games of Leafs on my TV. I don't need any more. I want to watch more Oilers, but if they're good,
yeah,
fun to watch, man.
Adding to that, all of that, Calgary has acquired quite a lot of acquisitions in the offseason, and to add to that, they've picked up Jagr for, I think it was $1 million and then $1 million of bonuses for the next season. Why didn't we get him?
I'm guessing he probably wanted to go with Calgary. It's a little bit warmer, different team. He fits right in the roster a bit better, but not better. But I think he could have fit with us. But I think it's the kind of thing where it's going to be his last season. Because Jagr had said this could be his last NHL season. And I feel like Calgary is less of a crazy market than Edmonton is, especially with McDavid.
Especially with their arena.
So, well, because if you think about the amount of media attention McDavid drives, regardless of whether or not they're playing well. If they're playing well, it's McDavid is God, and blah, 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 and they're all if they play poorly, what is wrong with McDavid? Blah, blah, blah. So there's always attention. Calgary seems to
Let's be honest here.
Lost.
Jagr didn't sign with the Oilers because the Oilers didn't want Jagr. That's why it happened.
I mean, I'm assuming that's a big part of it, which seems like a massive mistake because who else is left right now except Jerome McGinley?
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
and we're not signing McGinley. They're not going to sign again.
We're not going to sign again. He wouldn't sign with us.
No, he wouldn't.
I could see him signing with us, but I don't see a good contract coming out of it.
He's a good Edmonton boy, but he would not go behind Calgary like that after.
He'll totally do it, dude.
No, he wouldn't.
Dude, like an NHL job versus not an NHL job.
I mean, yeah, potentially, but think about the contract we have to offer him too, because we're on the desperate side now. Who's our best right winger right now is Zach Kassian.
Well, hang on. We still have Yamamoto.
Yamamoto will not be in the NHL in 4 more games.
Yeah, he shouldn't be in the NHL.
He shouldn't be. If they burn his burn a year off his ELC, that is going to be horrific.
You know what pains me right now? Like, absolutely pains me? Who has the lead in the Pacific Division?
Pretty sure it's the Flames, isn't it? Or,
it's the Flames. Excuse me. It's the Flames.
Yeah.
With 4 wins and 2 losses. And then it's...
You know what's really starting to chat my ass?
Yeah.
This is totally off topic.
The
fact that we took Puljujärvi instead of Matthew Tkachuk.
Yes, yeah, I fucking hate Tkachuk. He's a cunt.
But he's good.
He is.
He's good.
He's a good player.
He's a good player.
He's good.
I'm gonna give Puljujärvi a few years. Realistically, we just because he was projected high doesn't mean he's gonna develop fast. So I'm gonna give him time.
No, with Puljujärvi, it's just a complete question mark because it's turning into another Nurse and Yakupov situation where all the tools are there. It's just the brain's not going fast enough to put it all together.
Yeah, Puljujärvi kind of. He seems like he's scared. That's what I thought when I saw him play. Like, I don't know. He seems like he's scared.
I think he's scared of making mistakes because he's probably been pushed to make less of them. So, well, in 2 games he's got 3 games he's got 2 points so far, and they're both assists. So it's not like he's not putting up points. It's just he's getting there slowly.
In 5 games, Tkachuk has 4 points in the NHL.
Tkachuk's playing with better players in the NHL. Our AHL roster is not good this year.
No.
Let's be real.
Kachuk is left wing, but I feel like that really shouldn't
It doesn't matter.
much.
No, like if we sign, if we draft and we sign Kachuk, like he's the perfect replacement for Lucic. We don't need Lucic.
Yeah,
but we would still sign Lucic. Let's be honest.
That's probably why they took Puliarvi instead of. Oh Jesus! No, you know what? I'm thinking back to the 2016 draft now, and what had happened was Columbus, like it went
with
Matthews
Dubois,
and Laine, and then Columbus was like Pierre-Luc Dubois. It was a huge shock to everyone because Puliarvi was supposed to go third.
Yeah.
And when he landed to us at 4, like there was no way that we weren't taking him.
Yeah.
So Kachuk wasn't even considered.
Because it was Matthews, Laine, and Puliarvi were so far above everyone else. It would have been lunacy for us to not take him.
Yeah, and now from the looks of like how things are coming together, it seems almost as though like Sebastian Aho was the one that was carrying Puliarvi. Because that was the dynamic duo in the Finnish league, as well as the World Juniors, was Aho and Puliarvi.
Yeah,
Laine was injured at the time.
It's a concern for sure, but I mean he's also one year and 3 games into his AHL career. Like, just hold off a bit of judgment here, boys. Like it's not even a year and a bit into. I mean, he played too much in the NHL last year to begin with. So, we'll give him some time here. We don't have to rush projects. Like it's the issue why this is becoming such a topic right now is because we didn't stock our right wing enough this year.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we're looking at it going down the depth chart going, okay, well, we have Strome who's playing center right now, even though he's not good enough to play center, and he probably should be somewhere on our upper line that isn't playing there. There's Cassian. Draisaitl is currently injured. He was playing right wing. And then we have Yamamoto, who shouldn't be in the NHL after a few games. So who's our next one? Puliarvi. So it's not that he should not be playing in the NHL, but we've put ourselves in such a situation that we kind of need him to be NHL ready, despite the fact that we shouldn't need him to be NHL ready, if that makes any sense at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does. I get what you're saying.
This just, you know what, James, you had said, or it was Arun, or I think Arun at the beginning of the podcast, you had said that it feels like a few years ago when it was like, how do we get in this situation again? And it's
again.
This feels like Groundhog Day. We're talking about what are we going to do about this situation that should have been avoidable by making some small moves or drafting better. It just feels like Groundhog Day again, and I'm hoping it's not going to be another situation where we're falling for Dolan or sucking for Shmekikov. I can't say his name. Shnikov, I don't know. Svechnikov.
Imagine all the
I'm not Russian.
just lighting up, going like, "Okay, we're stuck in here."
It's just we shouldn't have to worry about this stuff, and it's 4 games, and I'm sure we're overreacting.
Yeah.
Talbot starts slow. That's the thing. McDavid doesn't
always
start slow. But
McDavid,
it's just
the biggest question mark that's going on in there, and all of that is the fact that McDavid just looks off. And is it just a lineup thing? Is it a different thing? What's happening there? Anyway, Matt, we have no idea what's going on with Draisaitl at the moment. Concussions are weird in that it could be that he misses 2 or 3 games, 5, 10, 20, 30 games. Like, to give you an example, Aaron Ekblad last season was concussed and he lost 30. He missed 30
some odd games.
Yeah. So it's we have no idea how long Draisaitl's out. It could be 50 games this season. And then you add in the fact that we have quite a few players in our roster that either first time in their career played 82 games last season, or have never played 82 games in their career in a season. Excuse me.
It's worth noting. It's worth noting Crosby, when he had his last concussion, found that his major issue was a neck issue.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was
this
also...
was an eye issue, though. It started off as an eye issue.
Well, I'm trying to remember, because there was somebody else, I think it was Players Tribune. It might have been, was it Shaw or Cursillo, who in their article talked about having to sit in a dark room and everything. No, it wasn't. Sorry, it was a college player.
Mm-hmm.
And for the longest time, they had no idea what the issue was, and they started doing ocular training towards concussion rehabilitation, and he found it helped a lot. So the good news is that they know it's an ocular issue. There are methods now developing in sports physiology and neuroscience that train your ocular vision to help with concussion issues. So the good news is it's not like he has to sit in a dark room for 12 hours a day and with the lights off, not doing anything. And concussion protocols, listening to Bob McKenzie last year, concussion protocol has changed. They start exercising you right away. So the issue is we might, in 2 weeks, we might see him on the ice and he's exercising. But what it is they're pushing him to a certain level, seeing how he feels after, and then either adjusting to a higher level or reducing the level of activity until he can get to the point where he's game ready. So realistically, it could be a week, it could be 4 weeks.
Matt in chat brought up a good idea in terms of with Draisaitl extended loss for as long as he is. We'll be wrapping up very quickly here, guys. Do we go and trade for Neil?
James Neal?
James Neal?
Yeah. Because that's a team that's definitely planning to tank.
Why would I?
What's he on right now?
I can't see Vegas trading him, to be honest.
Yeah, that's the big.
He's the only player that's playing well.
He's the only. Yeah. Like him and Fleury were the only players.
Let's look up his contract here.
Would it be ridiculous to go after him after the deals they've made? Probably not.
Probably not.
But
no.
So he's on a.
But they want to get rid of defensemen. Let's be honest.
This is his last year's contract. He's on a $5 million AV.
We can afford up to 8.
The thing is, he has a modified NTC.
He's a UFA.
Yeah.
I could see him maybe being a trade deadline rental.
Yeah.
He has He has a list of 8 teams he can be traded to.
Matt, in all likelihood, there's no contract trades that's going to happen in the beginning of the season. This is like the modern era of the NHL. Since 2015 or something, you don't see a trade until you're getting really close to the trade deadline.
Everything is so gridlocked.
Yeah, unless your name is Derek Pouliot. But yeah, it's highly unlikely, and we'll have to see where we are in the standings before we go for a guy like Neil when it comes to trade deadline.
Now, if we get to December and we're outside of the playoffs but not playing well, and the Knights are kind of lower table already, they might want to trade Neil. But
yeah, we should definitely if Chiarelli's not on the phone on a consistent basis with Vegas, either for their defensemen or their forwards. And, in my opinion, he's not a good GM, but it'll be interesting. Anyway, I don't think there's anything else to really talk about here, and we're talking in circles at this point, some stuff that we've already been talking about. So I'll let you wrap up then, James, unless you want to add something else.
No, just to reiterate, right now, I don't think I would go for James Neal because we're still giving the team and the season itself, it's time to settle into itself. So nothing yet. But by December or January, I think that options will start to open up. I don't think that anything major will happen, barring a major collapse by the Oilers. And then beyond that, James Neal is not a name that I thought of, but I think he could actually be a pretty solid contributor, at least for this season anyway. So I think that's going to do it. This is the Oil Drop Podcast. My name is James. With me, as always, it's Adam and Arun. If you liked the video, click like. If you really liked it, click on subscribe. And we'll see you guys on Twitter. Oil Drop Podcast is Twitter.
All right.
See you guys next time.
Next week and a half. 2 weeks later.